Okay, so this video is an interesting one. It's basically a hodgepodge of all of my thoughts on the Escalation of Freedom update when it first came out, my thoughts leading up to the update on the 17th, and my thoughts on the game now. With the devs doing the whole buff a day thing, I thought it would be cool to just talk about my thoughts in an unscripted manner. This section is scripted, and the section after the update is also scripted, but all of my buff a day thoughts are completely unscripted. I also had some really bad allergies at the time. I'm not sure if I was sick, but it basically felt like there was a brick lodged in my sinuses the entire time, and you can definitely hear that in my voice. If you just want to skip to the thoughts I have after the update, I understand, and also I'll put the timestamps on screen. With that said, yeah, I hope you enjoy this. So it seems like the devs are going to be dropping a little bit of a teaser each day, going over some of the patch notes. I figured I would record my reaction to each of the patch notes each day as we get into the September 17th patch that I'm honestly really excited for. I'm really hoping, like, a lot of the community is I will believe it when I see it, and I am kind of there too, but I also very much am excited. And I do think this is going to be the make or break patch for me, but it looks promising based off of just this one flamethrower change. It looks really promising. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I wanted to discuss Escalation of Freedom first and where my sort of thoughts are, and then I'll get into what I think of the flamethrower. So firstly, Escalation of Freedom, we have to start off by talking about the flamethrower changes and all the weapon nerfs that have been happening. It's just been too much. Like, I don't think I can say anything that has not already been said other than it's just been too much. And the thing that sucks is that there's more enemies and we have less options. Like, I feel like a lot of people are focusing too narrowly on, like, just each individual nerf, and they're not mentioning the bigger picture of, like, we have no options to take these enemies on. That's what sucks. And when it comes to options, I think that we can actually talk about the Impaler. The Impaler, I think, is my favorite enemy that they've introduced in this update, if only because any weapon can damage it. Like, a primary isn't going to be particularly effective at taking it out, but I can at least deal some damage to it when it's in its attack phase. It's risky because whenever it digs into the ground and starts spewing its tentacles at you, I'm not going to say it like that. Whenever it digs into the ground and starts attacking you, you can shoot its face and the body's stationary, but you are going to be exposed to the attack. But, again, you have options to take it out, which is just good. That's very good. Because one of the things that's been really frustrating is seeing people say that, like, oh no, a weapon can't do this, it'll make the game too easy. But, like, there's a difference in a game. There's a difference between being specialized for a role and being incapable of doing anything else. Because a rocket launcher, you're obviously going to be using against tanks, right? But it can be used against other enemies. I feel like the same, in a video game, the same should apply to any weapon. I should have the option to do this. It should be harder. It should be more restrictive. It should be not the best option, but it should be an option. The thing that sucks about, like, a Bile Titan is, let's just say I've been in this situation where I either miss a precision strike, or it's like I only hit the leg with the 500 kg, or it just doesn't frickin' die even though it's right above it. I don't know why that sometimes happens, but I've been in situations where I toss the precision strike on it, it doesn't die. I toss two 500s on it, it doesn't die, and now I'm just stuck for 2.5 minutes until all my shit cools down and I can try again. And that sucks. Like, if I could just, in that situation, take on the rest of the Bile Titan's health pool with my primary, or my support weapon, or even my secondary if I wanted to be that much of a madman, why not give us that option? But at the same time, weapon roles can still exist. Anti-tank will always be anti-tank, even if you can use it against the smallest Wilbur. But, like, let us use a machine gun to at least damage the Bile Titan. You know, give us some supplemental damage for those situations where, yeah, we missed some of the biggest damage, but it's damaged, and we just need to finish it off. When it comes to the rest of the changes and enemies in Escalation of Freedom, I honestly feel like they're the exact opposite of the Impaler, where it feels like support weapons are required, and at this point, like, one death in Helldivers 2, the reason it's so frustrating is because you have no options other than your support weapon, which I hope you chose a good support weapon. Because whenever you die, you're just gonna get back in, and if your support weapon's on cooldown, well, tough shit, you're not gonna be contributing anything until that's off cooldown, which is really, really fun. And as for the large fortresses, I mean, they're cool, but a few extra samples at the end of each mission honestly feels kinda lame. Like, I know it's challenge rating 10 and they're only on challenge rating 10, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like there should have been some kind of community event around collecting these, or just something. Like, make them a new type of sample, or I don't know, just I feel like there was an opportunity for them to be a little more special than they are, which honestly doesn't feel special at all. Moving on though, I want to talk about the Steam blog post that they mentioned, and then I'll get into the flamethrower. So I'm not going to read it verbatim, but I am going to paraphrase just a couple of things. So it's been a couple weeks since we've committed to our 60-day plan. Team's been hard at work. So it looks like they're reworking armor penetration, anti-tank weapons, and enemy armor and health values. So the numbers that we see, or we don't really see them in game to be honest, but like the numbers that we have currently are going to be completely different. As a key part of the rework, we have done an initial balancing pass over 30 weapons and stratagems. So I'm assuming not every weapon is going to be changed, but I'm hoping every weapon is going to feel changed due to the enemy health and armor values. And I wish they were just a little bit more clear here as to like which ones, because they mention Hulks having lower armor. They mentions like the Devastator and the gunships having limited rockets. They mention the Charger, Impaler, and Bile Titan. They're mentioning a lot of like medium. Well, actually, it's mostly like elite and special enemies. The only like medium enemy they mention is the Devastator, and they don't mention like the health on the Devastator at all. I kind of wish they'd be like if what they're doing is they're changing the health values of the heavy enemies, and they're changing the values of the guns. So it's like the guns are still more effective against the small guys, you know, Wilbur, Hunters, and your small troopers. So your guns are like now more effective against those guys, but like the medium guys, I don't know. Basically what I'm trying to say is I wish there were more numbers. Weapons such as the autocannon, the heavy machine gun, and the AMR will be more effective. Yes, the autocannon will be more effective. That's really funny to me. We're taking this opportunity to consider new player fantasies and design goals for these weapons and stratagems based on the feedback we've received and the trends we're observing during gameplay. Whenever they talk about player fantasy, like that's a nothing burger at this point. Like I think I know what Johan's going for, but I feel like player fantasy has been brought up so much that it's starting to lose meaning, or at least like my idea of player fantasy versus Johan's idea of player fantasy are two different things, and I've just stopped paying attention whenever he mentions that. FAQs. So, what does a balancing pass entail? How are they conducting it? Honestly, the answer to this feels very corporate. Like they don't really talk about what it entails. They just talk about how they're conducting it, which I guess, you know, they don't want to say too much. I understand, maybe. What about the beta testing they mentioned previously? Yes, the beta testing. I would love to be part of the beta testing at some point. I think that'd be really cool. They've conducted closed beta tests for the last 2 weekends. I haven't heard anything about that. We're starting just small to ensure everything runs smoothly before expanding. Understandable. So yeah, the beta testing. I think beta testing environments and like servers and stuff are really cool. Again, I would love to be a part of that and give direct feedback. I love giving direct feedback and like critiquing the new beta of a game. I think that's really, really fun. When do we actually get to see this stuff go live? September 17th. I was extremely excited when I saw that. This was back on Thursday. It is currently Tuesday, the 10th, and this has been the longest half a week of my life so far. It's gonna be the longest week ever, just waiting for this. I'm really excited. So, flamethrower changes. So, they have increased the damage by 33%. They've just been constantly buffing fire, haven't they? Some of that due to bugs, some of that due to it, actually needing changes. The flamethrower looks promising. They've also increased the armor penetration. So now, I love that they said, if you want to roast a charger, go ahead, roast a charger. And I think that's really, really cool. Hopefully I can roast a Bile Titan. I would love to just roast a Bile Titan. I think that'd be really fun. Even if it's not effective, I want to. I believe, too, Johan stated that 4 madmen with flamethrowers can now take out a Bile Titan if they want to. Again, this goes back to just having options. If we want to do it, we can eventually, if we're able to pull it off. That is what I think the game should be and should have always been, as opposed to, here's a Bile Titan, hopefully you brought a recoilless or a precision or a 500, or hopefully you brought one of the things that's good against it, or otherwise good luck. Because oftentimes it would just be runaway simulator, and I don't want runaway simulator, I want to be able to run towards them for democracy, all that, But with the flamethrower, it's good that they're giving us numbers, like, 33% increase. I think they could still give us more, because it's like, is it a 33% base increase? Because of the, we have the ship module that increases it. I don't know. Also, it would be nice to know, like, the exact armor penetration. I believe it would be 5 if we can roast a charger, but also the charger is going to be reworked, and it's going to have its numbers changed, and maybe it's now at 4, right? So maybe the flamethrower is at 4. But I'm really excited though, and I would love to cook up some roast charger soon. As for, like, what else I want to see, hopefully they discuss primary weapons, right? As I mentioned, like, I want the option to shoot the Bile Titan like I can with the Impaler. It doesn't need to be effective. I don't need my Peacemaker to two-shot it. I just need the option. That's all I want. The Eruptor, one of my favorite guns, still currently is. I still enjoy using it, but it's definitely not the most effective like I think it once was. Because before, with the Shrapnel, which was definitely too good in some I'm not sure how people were one-tapping chargers. I don't know what they were doing, because I never did that myself. But it used to have incredible AoE potential, and I really hope that we see that, like, reverted. Secondaries need help. Like, there's only 2 that I think are worth using. That's the Grenade Pistol and the Bushwhacker. The Bushwhacker is a really nice complement to the Eruptor, but it's, like, really the best one is obviously the Grenade Pistol. And the Bushwhacker, I think, is a close second, and then you have just kind of the rest of them. So the secondaries need a lot of help, I feel. The Bile Titan head hitbox bug. Please fix this. This is annoying as shit. And honestly, should have been fixed months ago. And hopefully, we also see, like, more discussion of the enemy changes in these patch notes, as opposed to just, like, the buffs. They're calling it a buff a day keeps the bugs away, so I'm assuming it'll just be buffs that they mention until the patch notes, but I would like to see, like, hey guys, the charger, this is how we've changed it for one of these, like, little teasers here. All right, I think that's about it for day 1. That was quite long, but I'll see you tomorrow for day 2. Guys, holy shit, the railgun. Okay, so they've increased the durable damage, thank fuck, but also they've increased, like, the charge damage. Holy Christ. I saw some people, like, analyzing currently what it could do with the current health numbers. It could, like, 2-shot Bile Titans and Factory Striders to the eye. Holy fuck, the railgun is back. I've already been using the railgun a shitload. I think it's honestly kind of underrated against bots. It just deletes Hulks, it deletes Devastators, and now it's actually, like, able to take on gunships, and I've been using it a ton. This is one of my favorite guns, and holy goddamn, they did not hold back. The only thing is like, I believe Johan said at one point that it's supposed to be more risk-reward, so I'm wondering, like, is there more risk to it, or is it just a bigger reward? Which, I mean, I'm not complaining if it is just a bigger reward, but just knowing a little bit more, is this everything, or is there a catch? But yeah, no, if this is the way things are going, Freedom has finally escalated. I'm very excited. Not much to talk about here on day 2, other than there is one thing I thought of yesterday after I recorded my lines, and I figured I'd record that now. So it's like, are they going to improve the performance of the game at all? Because honestly, I think that should be like a pretty high priority, because it's like the performance of the game. Like, I'll start off at a nice 60 frames, and then it'll slowly dwindle down over the course of me playing, and I have to like restart the game just to go back up to 60 again, and that's just kind of annoying. And I hope that they improve the performance a lot, especially on that one planet, the swamp biome or whatever. Okay, the breaker shotgun has been reverted. Not just reverted. I think they said it's better than it was on release, which is really cool. I like that they're showing primaries as well in these little teasers and completely reverting them. I think that's very nice, and again, makes me really excited for whatever they have in store for the Eruptor. Please give it its shrapnel back, please. But also, they dropped the chemical war bond. I think it was very smart from them, because normally whenever they teased out their thing, the new war bond, they would always tease it out the first week of the month, the first Thursday, and then they'd release it the second Thursday. This is the second Thursday of the month, and they are releasing it next Thursday. So I think that was smart for them to, delay the war bond by a week to release it after this super awesome update. I'm really excited for this update, but I think it's interesting that they're now locking stratagems behind war bonds. I expected that they would do that, but also it's taken them a while to do that. So we'll see how it turns out. We now have a chemical guard dog. I gotta be honest, unless they vastly change the way the guard dog behavior functions, I'm never using this thing. My friend's guard dog has killed me too many goddamn times for me to even consider using this stupid thing. But the bug spray stratagem, I'm already forgetting what it was called. The bug spray stratagem, I'm gonna be calling it that. I don't know how this will differ from the flamethrower. Like, maybe it'll like linger around a little bit longer, but it doesn't, obviously it won't catch enemies on fire. Or maybe you could even like combine it with a flamethrower and like set large swaths of the environment ablaze. That could be fun. I don't know. I don't think they showed that. They didn't show anything like that in the trailer, but that'd be really cool if you could do that. And the stim pistol, this is a very good option. This is a very good thing to put on a secondary slot. Secondaries, I do think, should lean a little more into the utility side of things, because we've had some like regular secondaries, and honestly, they're not particularly great or useful. Senator's alright, you can one-tap Devastators if you get good with it, but, and obviously there's a grenade pistol and the Bushwhacker. Other than those three, I don't think any of them are particularly fantastic. So yeah, that's day 3. Okay, day 4. I checked so I opened Discord and I went over to the announcements tab to just wait for the announcement to happen, and Baskinator is typing right now. Just gonna, ooh, Rocket Devastator changes. Okay, Rocket Devastators now have a limited number of rockets. I saw them mention that earlier. See them disappear when they are spent. A reload mechanic is added from their backpack. Ooh, okay. Rocket physics collision is now smaller, making them easier to avoid. I also saw that. Let's watch this video. Okay, so that's really cool. So they have a whole ass new animation to show the Rocket Devastators reloading. So what they said is the Rocket Devastator can burst 3 times, they said, and it can reload once. So eventually, Rocket Devastators will run out of rockets. Thank fuck. Hopefully that will reduce the amount of times I ragdoll. I want ragdolls to be in the game, because I love them. I think they're funny, but too much of a good thing is eventually just going to turn into a bad thing. So, yeah. But I'm really glad that they're showing the enemies as well, the enemy changes. That was one of the things I think I mentioned, because I don't just want to see the buffs. I want to see, some of the enemy changes before the patch drops. This is one of the ones that makes me really excited, and hopefully bots will be a little bit more fun to fight now. One of the things I do want to mention, I hope that the little animation of them firing and reloading is a little more obvious. That way I can just visually tell, okay, this is happening, and I can take advantage of the situation and all that. I hope they show more bug changes. I'm really looking forward to seeing the charger changes. Like, I would love to see that tomorrow. But yeah, that's day 4. Okay, so it is currently the Monday before. Well, now it's Tuesday. I've been sick the past couple of days. You can probably still hear it in my voice. So I didn't record, but I wanted to give some thoughts before tomorrow, where I just hop in and play the game, and then I give a sort of review, I suppose. So the Eruptor, it's got a shrapnel back. Now, according to the thing that was shown, the leaked patch notes. Well, okay, the people zoomed and enhanced the patch notes, and according to that, there's like a reduction in damage on the explosion itself, but there's a lot of shrapnel now, so I'll be interested to see how that turns out. Arc Thrower looks very, very interesting. Range increase, thank God. Its durable damage has been doubled, so I'm really hoping that this is effective now. Oh, also, it's got a new build-up stun effect, so that'll be really fun, I think. I think the Arc Thrower will be hopefully fun to use. I'm really interested to give it a shot. And then the 500 kg of all fucking things. Not that I'm complaining, though, because the bomb explosion now matches the visuals, or so they say. Thank God, I'll no longer, you know, like, look like I hit a Bile Titan, but it does no fucking damage. It was still really good at taking out Bile Titans, you just had to aim it, I suppose, but hey. Now I think I'll be running now 500 kg in the new Orbital Napalm Barrage. Really excited to run that against the bugs. That'll probably just be what I run almost exclusively. So yeah, I'm gonna go to bed and wake up to some patch notes. If I had to describe the latest update to Helldivers 2 in just one word, it would be options. Because we have so many more now, and not only do they exist, but they are good. And where better to start than with the new thermite grenades? And I gotta say, this shit's like crack in open heavy armor really, really damn well. Just one of them is capable of deleting a tank, fabricator, all variants of charger, and I don't know exactly how many it takes to kill a factory strider, but the supply pack allows me to do this now. As if I needed more reasons to use it. Now, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of each and every single change. Although I do enjoy talking about stuff like that, plenty of others have already or will do that in the future. As I said in the beginning, this is a video consolidating my general thoughts on the game before, leading up to, and after the update. I got the first two done, so where do I stand currently? Well, this is easily the most fun I've had in this game in a good long while. I was a bit worried that things might feel a bit too strong, but I am happy to say that this is very much not the case. One-shotting Bile Titans in practice feels great, but on paper could be seen as, you know, too easy. However, you are dedicating an entire stratagem and weapon slot to this task, and need to rely on your other weapons in order to deal with the rest of the horde. And to one-shot a Titan, you need to hit the head, otherwise you'll have to hit a follow-up shot. Of course, you can always use a spear, but you also get way less ammo in that case. And coming back to thermites, you don't even need to use these anti-tank weapons if you don't want to bring them. They're a little tricky to use, but trading off your crowd control for a single target deletion button is a good trade in my opinion. And important to note, I would consider this a trade. Everyone is going crazy over these things now because they're new. They're a good option, don't get me wrong, a great option even, but they're new. And people will always enjoy the latest shiny thing a little bit more than the old stuff. But there are still plenty of times where I wish I had a different kind of grenade, either to stun, slow, or damage a group of targets all at once so I could better reposition or escape. So I don't think thermites are the end-all be-all like I once thought stuns used to be. Stuns were good, and still very much are, because they can do something to certain enemies when other weapons just can't. Thermites, on the other hand, are hyper-specialized into that tank killing role, not just the heavy and horde slowing role that stuns take over. But in any case, thermites and the other buffs have undoubtedly skyrocketed the value of the Democratic Detonation War Bond. In fact, while I would normally want some more time before doing like a ranking type thing, here's how I would probably rank the paid War Bonds after using them all. In last place, we have Chemical Agents, so I'll talk about this one in just a little bit. Next, we have Polar Patriots. There will be a second round of buffs, and thank God, because 3 out of the 4 weapons weren't even touched here. The Titterizer only got 5 extra rounds on the mag. We've gotten a teaser at what's to come for the Purifier, so hopefully this list will be outdated soon. In 5th place, we have Viper Commandos. This is my personal favorite War Bond for the armor and aesthetic alone. Though, while I like the armor's effect and it is unique among the paid War Bond armor sets, I mainly run it for its visuals, and I do think that there are better passes out there. But this does make your weapons feel fantastic to use. The knives are unfortunately not very useful, and they can no longer pierce charger leg armor. armor. The carbine is alright, but not my favorite, and the bushwhacker is a phenomenal secondary that is probably my personal favorite, and the booster is easily one of the best. Unfortunately, while there are a few gems in here, other bonds simply have more bang for your buck. 4th place, Freedom's Flame. Flamethrowers are good, cookout cooks. The booster is bad, but fun to troll with. Set the world on fire, have fun. Tied for 2nd place, Sealed Veterans and Cutting Edge. Sealed Veterans has one of the best bug and one of the best bot weapons in the entire game. Delivery Concussive is much better now, and the Senator has always been a solid secondary. Incendiary Grenades are of course fantastic against bugs as well, and this bond also has a unique and useful armor passive. Not as useful as Viper Commandos in my opinion, but if you want a prosthetic arm, here you go. Cutting Edge has a solid bot weapon, and the sickle is an alright infinite ammo. Assault Rifle is very fun to use. I haven't used a new dagger just yet, and the Arc Blitzer is my personal favorite bug weapon. Keeps everything stunned and locked down, has infinite ammo, and doesn't overheat like the sickle, and has medium armor pen. It is perfect. And number 1 is Utility the Warbond. Want a primary, secondary, or grenade that can kill fabricators? Here you go. Want a high damage AoE weapon? Here you go. Want to kill a tank at the press of a button? Here you go. Any one of these weapons fits perfectly into any loadout, and they each have their use cases. You do need to complement them either with some crowd clear or some close range weapon like the Bushwhacker, but Eruptor, my beloved. I would recommend any new player get this one first, then get whatever looks cool after. Honestly, all the top 5 here are fairly good. Now, going back to our arsenal. It's unfortunately not all sunshine and rainbows. I don't want to come off as too negative here. As I said, there will be another update, and they've already told us some things that are in that update, and the current Battle Station Major Order looks very, very exciting. But I'd be lying if I said certain options are still just unappealing. Assault rifles, first and foremost, are not really my kind of weapon. I personally much prefer high damage single shot weapons like pump action shotguns or the Eruptor. I do sometimes enjoy automatic weapons, like the machine guns are fun sometimes, and the HMG emplacement is slowly becoming one of my favorites. But assault rifles in general, to me, are just a little too, I don't know, vanilla, I suppose, in order to be super enjoyable all the time, in my opinion. Let me make that very clear. I understand that people do enjoy assault rifles, but I am revealing my own bias to you here because when testing them out, I honestly don't know if I'm not having fun because they're still not in the greatest of places or because they're just not for me. So that, combined with honestly just the lack of time I've had to play and fully test things out, it's honestly hard for me to say whether or not the assault rifles are in a good place, but I'm leaning towards no, especially if they don't have medium armor penetration. Next we have, chemical agents. There's a lot that needs to happen to make these weapons useful. The gas grenade seems alright, and the helmets are cool, but that's honestly where the compliments end. The weapons themselves are just bad. There's no sugarcoating it. The bug sprayers are unfortunately not even subpar. They're probably the worst weapons in the entire game. I was hoping and coping that the dog breath would at least be able to keep the enemies slowed and for once not kill me like the other guard dogs, but using it just doesn't feel like it's doing anything at all. Instead of spraying a whole bunch of enemies, it seems to find just one enemy to just constantly spray, and because these weapons don't do much damage whatsoever, it's going to be spraying that one enemy for a very long time. The lack of a gas cloud feels like there's basically no crowd control on what I thought was going to be one of the best crowd controlling weapons in the game. And the new gas effect is really cool. I really like it, but the enemies don't seem to get confused very fast and often just attack me anyway. I love the idea of these weapons, and I really wish that they were good. I was really hoping that this Warbond would be really, really fun, but there's a lot that needs to happen for me to come back to using them. Now moving on to enemy changes. The armor changes on the enemies feel great, and Arrowhead's new design philosophy of everything dies fast, both enemies and us, makes sense on paper. Hell, I think it works perfectly with the charger changes, and I say that chargers are no longer annoying to fight. Shooting the butt is what you're supposed to do, and anti-tank now properly antis the tanks. But unfortunately, the changes do make certain enemies more annoying. Firstly, warriors. Yes, I'm using heavy armor on bugs, and no, I don't plan to change anytime soon. With just one of them being able to 1-2 combo me and delete my health if they get up close to me with light armor, the only way you survive that is if you have the shield pack, which I personally don't really enjoy using, or heavy armor. Plus, because I use the Arc Blitzer and Cookout so much, 2 weapons with heavy stun and stagger, I can often keep them away from me anyways, and my heavy armor is a really good backup that'll hopefully just barely keep me alive when they do get up close. But despite light armor being made of even less paper, I've actually been enjoying the bugs a hell of a lot more this update than the bots, and I'm certain you can guess why. The Hulks having a laser cannon sounds good on paper, and honestly, I agree with their reasoning. The Hulk Bruisers didn't do much before. But these cannons and the turrets just have no indication whatsoever that they're going to fire, and when they do, it just makes you fall to the ground. And all that ends up doing 90% of the time is just extending your reinforce time once they hit you. but also because we take like 15 to 30% more damage on average and the bots have range, you can't just try and keep them away from you. Even a basic trooper can just delete over half your health, and honestly, that just feels bad. Heavy Devastators shooting through their bodies is ridiculous, and how far away they can snipe us is also ridiculous. Yeah, these are still here. I feel like all the changes have just made me more reliant on the supply pack and stim spam than ever before. I actually have a lot of thoughts on how I would change the enemies and ourselves to make that less of a brain dead strategy, but that's for a different video that I plan on making. For now, give the enemies a flash that indicates they're about to fire and remove the ragdoll effect on these laser cannons. It's not all bad on the bot front though. The Hulks have, funnily enough, actually been made more fun to fight in certain situations. I've actually found myself shooting off the limbs a lot more than going for the eye, as, yeah, it takes longer, but it does make it easier to fight. And honestly, yeah, I'd say that this feels pretty fun. Like, honestly, I feel so conflicted because I do have more fun than before, but there's more annoyance than before. Again, this makes me really hopeful for the next updates, because while I'm having some of the highest highs I've ever had in the game ever, honestly, I am also certainly having some of the lowest of lows. The game is very close to being really good, but I just feel like there's still a lot of tweaks that need to be looked at. I feel like I haven't said much in the last 2.5 pages of scripts. There's just so much that I could talk about, but I just need to get this done and move on to other things. Overall, the update has been very positive despite how negative I feel like I was in this video, and I genuinely cannot wait to dive back in and start playing some more despite the annoyances I have. And as I mentioned, the current major order is really exciting. I do plan on going in depth into some more thoughts in a dedicated video. I hope you're looking forward to that, and I hope you have a fantastic day. See you later.